And we take a trip into the land of the Big Eight this evening for our Inland Sports Volleyball Coaches feature. We're joined by Santiago head coach Courtney Krueger. Last year was your rookie season as head coach of the program,
yes.
Succeeding Arlen Elvick. Kind of describe the transition you went through going that one chair over.
It was not as difficult as I was expecting, just because I've been coaching here since 2005, and I know Coach Elvick really well because he's also was the department chair for history as well. So I knew him, and I watched every single varsity match. I was actually the assistant varsity coach for one half of a season before I took over as the JV coach. So I knew his style, I knew the girls and everything. So coming in after him, I knew it was very big shoes to fill, but it wasn't very difficult to come in once I got the hang of it.
Okay. So who are your coaching influences, and then how did you get started? Was this your first job here?
Well, one of the big coaching influences in general would be John Wood, and I love his philosophy and try to follow that as much as possible. When I came in here as a history teacher, I was looking into doing something else, and I got asked by Coach Elvick because he needed a boys coach, and he needed one desperately, so he kind of roped me into it, and that was in 2005, and here I am still, and it's a blast, and I love it, so that's how I got started coaching at the school.
Okay. There's an old saying, old Marines never die, old coaches never die.
Very true.
All right. So your squad last season dropped a grand total of, I believe it was 3 sets in the Big Eight League,
right,
only getting pushed to 5 once against King.
Right.
As a rookie coach, was that a good thing for you to have a fairly easy path through league except for that King match?
Yes and no. We really struggled with some of the difficulty level, especially later on and with Chaparral, but it was great to keep the consecutive league record going. So that was fun for us, and it was really nice to come in because I've been here for a lot of those years, and our JV team actually had the same record going too. So it was dropping and playing King. King's always a great competitor for us, and dropping those sets to King really woke up the team as a whole. But going through, it was fun, like I said, to go and have all those matches and everything. But I don't know how much it prepared us for later on with Chaparral. So we'll see maybe this year.
Okay. And that was going to be the next question. Okay. You jumped a question ahead, but that's all right. So last year, for the first time that I can recall, the Big Eight League did not send a team past the first round. Is that a combination of other areas and other leagues catching up talent-wise, or was this just a down year for the Big Eight?
I think it's a combination of both. The Inland Empire really has been growing in girls volleyball for years. We're really on the map. The Southwestern League is phenomenal. They have now, I think it's 4 out of their 5 teams or something like that in Division I. So I think it's a combination of both, maybe a down year for the entire league, but also everybody else coming up. But it's just kind of an indicator of how good this area is coming. So it's not just all about Orange County anymore. Now people are looking to the Inland Empire for good volleyball teams and thinking, wow, now we have to play those teams. And
that's true because we got 4 teams to finals weekend last year as an area.
That's a big part of it. And I think that really is an indicator. You look back to when I first started coaching, and there were a few good teams. Rev was one of them and a few others, but not like it is now where there's just lots and lots of good Inland Empire teams that we could list for a while.
Okay. So you are also a history teacher on campus, which was my favorite subject in school. I was that kid that busted the curve for everybody else.
Great.
Describe the challenges in being a classroom teacher and a varsity head coach, and how do you make the two work?
I would say it's actually very compatible. The two have very similar aspects to it, how to manage the classroom, how to manage the court. It's more about time management and me being extremely organized so that I'm very organized in the classroom and ready to go, and then organized on the court too. It is looking ahead at the schedule, looking ahead at what we're doing in class and everything, and just trying to balance it all out. But a lot of it is, when I first started coaching, I realized how much of it was just like my classroom and how to keep everybody interested. And I just took that from the classroom, put it on the court, and vice versa, and it seemed to have been working for the last 14 years.
Okay. What other sports did you try as a kid? What did you learn from multi-sport participation, and how do you encourage multi-sport participation in your program?
I'm a big proponent of multi-sport if my athletes want to do that. I actually was more of a softball player growing up. I only played volleyball for 3 years and then played intramurals in college. I played softball for 12 years. And that is, I think, a big part for cross training for a lot of athletes. It kind of releases some people from what they know, and it's kind of like if they don't serve well, it's like, oh, this is terrible. And if they go to another sport, it gives them a little bit of a release. So I'm a big proponent of that with my boys team as well. I really want them to go out and play other sports. What I learned from softball is a lot of a slower game. It's a lot more thinking. Volleyball is too. Volleyball is all about momentum. So I try to combine the two, how to think on the court, also trying to slow down the game sometimes just to get everybody back in and calm everybody down. But the aspects pretty much for all the sports that I've played are the same. Get out there, focus and everything. So just bring that to all of them.
Okay. All right. In 2 or 3 words, how do you think your players or assistants would describe you?
Organized and dedicated.
Okay. All right. So with the competitive equity playoff format now going into its second year, how does the format affect your scheduling? Does it affect it at all? Because you're looking at teams you may play in the playoffs in Chaparral or Great Oak, or is it just best available?
We are trying to schedule as many difficult Division I, high-tier Division II schools as we can. Our tournaments this year are difficult. We got invited to the Huddle tournament down in San Diego, which is a lot of those high-level schools down there. And we try to get as much of the high-level play as we can in preseason and during the tournament so that we are prepared so that when we go to the postseason that we're ready for it. And because of the way that they do the rankings now and the point systems, it's really important for us to play those teams, do well against them, and beat them so that we can move up in the divisions and get a very high seeding.
Okay. And you are on that committee this year,
Yes,
the
I am.
Division I coaches committee.
Yes.
What do you hope to learn about your squad in the preseason, especially with that Southwestern League back-to-back?
Right. We actually will see Vista Murrieta in our preseason tournament as well in Queens Court. What we're just looking for to learn about the teams that we're playing and our team as well is just what our holes are that we need to fill, what the strengths are of the teams that we're playing, what we need to do on defense, offense, and everything so that we're prepared in case we do see them in the postseason at some point, maybe in the state playoffs. And we're pretty much just going to take note of that. Once we come back from Queens Court, we're going to hit the ground running again and look to see what we need to tweak and what we need to kind of tighten up so that we can hit Vista on our first preseason game and hopefully take advantage of what we saw.
Okay. And Queens Court is next week, if I'm correct,
Yes,
right?
next weekend.
Okay. And Vista Murrieta, actually 3 of the schools in the Southwestern League do have new head coaches.
Yes.
So that's going to be interesting
Yeah,
to
I
see.
found out about that.
What were you like as a player, and how have those qualities transferred themselves into Coach Courtney?
Well, I actually, on both softball and volleyball, I was a captain on various years, and I would say I was very dedicated to my sports. I like to play all over. I was definitely, I think you could call a coach's player. I like to play wherever my coach wanted me to, and I took that, but I also experienced the sitting the bench sometimes and having players play over me. So I try to take what I experienced as a player and take that into as a coach, knowing that some girls, maybe they get frustrated, maybe they want to know why they're not playing, and I try to do that on a more consistent basis and talk to them so they understand what's going on. So I try to take of what I liked as a coach and as a player and what I didn't like as a player and try to put that on the court as now a coach.
Okay. So let's go back to when you first started coaching here. What is one thing that you know now that you wish you knew then?
There's quite a few things. I think I wish I had known back then how much time and effort goes into it. It would not have taken me away from coaching, but it just would have prepared me later on for what goes into it and to have a successful team. I think knowing what to look for is really big, both from your own players and from the opposite team was really big. That was a learning experience, being on the coaching side, not the playing side, and just learning how to manage my time between coaching and teaching. I wish someone had told me how to do that a little bit better so that I could have come out and been a little bit less stressed, I guess you could call it, and be prepared for what was to come and just in general what I would expect.
Okay. So we've reached the end of the main part of the interview. Next is a little rapid fire segment. We're going to call this Get to Know Coach Krueger. Where are we likely to find you off the court?
Either at an Angels game or snowboarding when I can get up there.
Okay. Favorite restaurant?
Lazy Dog,
Okay. Favorite movie?
League of Their Own,
All right. Favorite TV show?
Big Bang Theory.
What are we likely to find on your iPod, Spotify, or Pandora?
Everything possible, from country to oldies to alternative to, I guess you could call it new age, like Josh Groban. You can
Okay.
find everything.
What was your first job?
I worked, and now a lot of young people don't know this, I worked at Hollywood Video for 2 years, and I was a customer service rep there before they all closed down.
And I'm just barely young enough to remember what that
well,
was.
That was a fun job, but they're all gone now.
What's your guilty shopping pleasure?
I love electronics. I have 3 different computers, I have 3 tablets, and I have had a new phone every 2 years.
Oh. Game day superstitions.
I have way too many to count. There's certain times if I win in a certain shirt or certain shoes, I wear them again until we lose, and then I change up certain stuff. If anybody says, there's certain things like keep it up or whatever that I used to like knock on the floor if anybody says stuff, so I have a lot of them. That comes from softball, I think.
Okay. Favorite vacation?
I have 2 spots. I would say Lake Tahoe or Hawaii. Anywhere.
All right. Worst subject in school?
Math.
Favorite athlete?
Mike Trout.
All right. If you were the queen of volleyball for a day, what would you change about our sport? Maybe a rule change, for example.
That's a tough one. Right now, I'm pretty happy with a lot of the rule changes. I like how fast it is, so I don't think at the moment I have anything I would change right now.
Okay.
I'm sure if I thought about it, I could come up with it, but right now I'm good.
All right. And favorite amusement park?
Disney.
All right. Kind of preview the Big 8 League this year. I was looking at some stats over Max Preps, and I saw you lost about 30% of your kills and your attempts from last year. King lost about 50.
I would say we're going to be fairly balanced in the Big 8 this year. We have quite a few returning girls on our team. We have a lot coming back. We have some new girls that came onto the team, so we have a lot of firepower. We have both Ashlyn Blotzer and Erin Anderson back. We have a bunch of others too. So our team we are solid. Norco, they have quite a few young hitters that they only graduated a few. I know Roosevelt, they also have some, and King is always good. So we're going to have a lot of competition this year, and it's going to be really fun to see what they're going to bring.
Okay. Coach, best of luck in the Big 8 League. We will be out at at least a couple of matches, and we look forward to the start of the season.
Great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.